when you meet a chef who is obsessed with his quality and his reputation as a chef, you're always going to get a good meal. Hi mga kabano, it's Chris here, and today I'm going to actually share with you where I eat in Makati City. So a lot of people ask me this, you know, you're a chef, ikaw yung isang tagaluto dito, pero you know, you don't cook every night for yourself, right? So where do you eat? And it's sort of said that the best restaurants in town are where the chefs go, right? Because they kind of know price and quality, and they know where the ingredients are coming from and so forth. I'm conscious that if anybody's watching this video, if you want to find me on any given Friday night, if you go to one of these 5 places, you'll probably find me. And if you do, come and say good day. I would love to meet you and say kumusta ka na, or have a picture, whatever you want to do. Today I'm only going to focus on international restaurants. I have a separate vlog, we'll put a link to it here, which is about where I go to eat Filipino food specifically, but I feel like that's just a genre in its own self. And of course, you got to have some criteria when you think about what's your favorites. So for me, when it comes to choosing a restaurant, obviously I look at, does the food taste great? That's the most important thing of all. But second, gaano ka mahal yun? Because if it's ridiculously expensive, you're just not going to go there all the time, diba? I mean, you know, you have to be sulit din bilang isang restaurant. So happy tummy, happy wallet, right? That's so important in dining. And then the third one, of course, is quality. As you go up in price, you expect to get better quality, but it's not always the case. So taste and price and quality, that's how I pick my top 5 Makati restaurants. So number 5 on my list today, it's Stockton Place in Salcedo Street. It's like just sort of this little simple street side fine dining establishment, sort of a US style bistro. What I like about their menu, it's really short, and I actually like places that don't try to do everything. They try to do 4 or 5 dishes really well. There's enough there that everybody can choose something different, but it's that old saying like you want to be a restaurant that's inch wide, mile deep. So a few things that you're really good at, and I think that's the philosophy they have. So they've got sort of the pork belly, super interesting concoctions with how they actually put those dishes together. My memories of eating there recently, I really like they do their soup in a teapot, and probably the best tomato soup I've ever had was actually there. I never used to like tomato soup till I had it at Stockton Place. And they'll pour out that straight from a hot steaming teapot, and it's super delicious. So that one, from an experience, the ambiance, the price points for the quality of food that they're doing, really interesting. So congrats to them. They're on my top 5 list of Makati restaurants. So number 4 on my list of favorite Makati restaurants to dine at, it's Senor Pollo in Poblacion. Now this is owned by the same guys who run El Chupacabra, and it's a Latin American chicken joint. So LatAm chicken, it's typically flame grilled chicken, a lot of different spices on there. That's their hero product. The sides that they'll serve that chicken with is normally things like sweet potato mash, grilled plantains, sauteed beans, that kind of accompaniment, which can add sort of some sweetness or savoriness to the chicken. And the chicken itself comes with this kind of garlic mayo and chili and herby oil, which is just super delicious. So I mix them all together. I always eat this kamayan because it's like the whole chicken, so you can get all the chicken meat off better when you use your hands. So the design and decor there is really nice as well. They have a lot of very brightly colored murals, which just give it this nice street-like ambiance. They have some live music there from time to time as well, so it's a pretty nice place to chill out for a margarita. If I'm like in a festive mood, I kind of like to drink margaritas, so that goes down pretty well before, you know, getting my quesadilla and then LatAm grilled chicken. So try that one out. Prices range like 200 to 400 pesos per head. That's a really nice one to check out if you're in Poblacion, and I go there quite a bit, so try it out. So my third top 5 favorite restaurant in Makati City that you should try, it's actually a bit of a hidden one. It's Maria Luisa's Garden Room. It's where the Makati Garden Club is, so down near sort of Glorieta and where Ayala hits EDSA. But that garden club is really old, like, association of Makati City that we're all into gardening, and I love gardening. So you go there and you can actually walk around this nice little gardened area, and there's a lot of, you know, pots and plants, and if you're really a gardening enthusiast, you can pick up various plants for your own garden by being a member there. But the restaurant there is actually really good, and I think you have to be a member of the garden club to dine there. So the quality of food there is just very high. There's a very strong commitment to sourcing and getting only the best ingredients there. Now the food, it's mostly European inspired and Scandinavian inspired food. So think of, you know, a lot of imported seafood is being used there. So similar to, say, Stockton Place, it's that sort of simple modern European style. There's pastas, there's seafood, there's steak, there's poultry, all on the menu. One of the things they're best known for is their mussels dish. So mussels Baltazar style, which is sort of a Chilean style of cooking the mussels, bathed with sort of white wine wine, cream, parsley, garlic, etc. And I've only eaten there once or twice, but I was just super impressed. This is one that's gonna hit your wallet, but not as hard as going to one of the 5-star hotels. And frankly, the food here is way better than any of the 5-star hotels I've gone to in Makati. Now, number 2 on my list of favorite restaurants to dine in Makati City, it's actually Yabu House of Katsu, which I know is like, hang on, isn't that just in a bunch of shopping malls? And I'm like, yeah, it is in a bunch of shopping malls. And I'm not normally a guy who goes in for places that have been franchised, right? I love independent restaurants where the chef is definitely in the kitchen. But I do respect when a chef has been able to successfully translate a really, really excellent food and culinary concept and maintain a level of quality across multiple restaurant locations. And I think Yabu is probably one of the best examples I've seen of that. Right now, where would you get the best tonkatsu in Manila? I think probably Yabu is hands down got the best offering there. It's highly consistent. I've never had a bad katsu. I've never had a dry katsu. But I also love the way they've come up with the system, because I hate as a restaurant diner when you feel like parang yung nickel and dime. You walk into a place and it's like, oh, you know, that's 5 pesos for the napkin and that's 10 pesos for the drink. And if you want soup, that's an extra 50 pesos. I hate that. I'm like, I just want to walk in and I'm going to hand you some money and you just put food in front of me. That's it. Let's keep this simple, right? That's how I like to dine. So you go into Yabu and you're just like, yeah, bang, tonkatsu set. And they're not like, oh, would you like miso soup? Let me upsell you. No, they just give you miso soup. So you drink your miso soup, and then you eat your katsu. And then you get only rice, which all Filipinos love. But for me, you get only cabbie. You put a bit of dressing on there, but what I like there is it's one of the few places you can get that much free fresh vegetables in Manila. I mean, everywhere else you try to get fresh vegetables and they're like, no, that's like 500 pesos for a crappy salad. And there they're just like, yeah, have as much cabbie as you want. And I just think the quality focus, the reliability, consistency, and the prices are just so great. And my top favorite restaurant in Makati to go to, and I'm probably a little bit biased as an Australian, but yes, it is Bondi and Bourke. So where does that name come from to start with? So Bondi is, of course, you know, Sydney's Bondi Beach, and Bourke is Bourke Street in Sydney. There's a Bourke Street in Melbourne as well. We'll have to ask the chef owner Wade which place he's referencing. Bourke Street is known for coffee in Melbourne, and Bourke Street in Sydney has got like a lot of little like artisan supermarkets and so on. So both are pretty foodie streets actually. But for me, sometimes homesick Australian, I go there and I love the Australian dining experience. It's about simplicity, absolute commitment to quality of ingredients. It's unpretentious. So what they're serving up there is what we call in Australia Mod Oz cuisine, because Australia is a recent nation, you know, doesn't have millennia of culinary tradition to draw upon, right? So we tend to take a lot of the best from around the world and then combine that with having some of the best produce and meat and so forth being grown in Australia to produce something better. So classic in the Mod Oz style, there's a lot of pastas are very popular in modern Australian cooking, and then things like schnitzel, or we call them chicken parmas, which is the big crumbed chicken breast, often topped with like tomato reduction and mozzarella and stuff like that. So that's the sort of thing to go there. Now, of course, you get some of the authentic Australian items as well. So, I mean, Australia does lay claim to things like the meat pie and the lamington. Those are definitely available on the menu as well if you just want that classic Australian fix. But I really go there for the Mod Oz, the commitment to quality focus, the price points again, starting at around, you know, 300-400. Obviously, if you want the big steak, it's going to cost a lot more than that. The wine list is pretty tidy. We actually do supply them wine from my boutique Australian wine collection. So if you're there, you should of course ask them for Chris Urbano's wine. And if you meet the chef owner Wade, I mean, he's a guy who basically will shut his restaurant before he serves a bad meal. And that's really important with chefs, because I think a lot of people, they start the restaurant and within about 12 months it's really great, quality is really great. And then after that, you see this like big, what Singaporeans say, standard drop. And that's because they're now trying to monetize and make more profits on the restaurant meal. And they start to chop the quality, take out the more expensive food items. So when you meet the chef who is like, no, I care about my quality and my product more, he's still got to make a profit. I'm not saying he shouldn't make a profit, but I am saying when you meet a chef who is obsessed with his quality and his reputation as a chef, you're always going to get a good meal, and that's been my experience there. So for that reason, that's definitely for me my favorite dining establishment in Makati right now for international cuisines. So there it is, mga kabano. That is my list of favorite 5 international restaurants in Makati City right now. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what I should try out next, because to be honest, I think we're in this interesting time in Makati where the food scene is really taking off and accelerating. But for me, there's still quite a lot of disappointing food experiences out there. And as a result, I actually cook at home a lot because I go, well, you know, for the price, I can make better than most of the restaurants in the city. But it does mean I don't try out every single restaurant out there as fast as some of you might. So I want to hear your tips on where you love to eat, where you think it's great food, quality, and the taste is amazing. But I hope you enjoyed hearing some of my top favorites. And if you haven't tried them, do check them out. All of them are really well run, great chefs behind those kitchens. And if you like today's episode, don't forget to share it sa ating mga kababayan at Urbano, wherever they might be, especially here in Makati, who can benefit the most from learning about these restaurants. We'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more food and fun from the Philippines with me, Chris Urbano. Bye now.